Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So before starting the video, I would like to thank each and everyone because the goal which we have set for each video was that 100 likes. I think each and every video has that more than 100 likes now. So a big thank you to all of you. And also to just highlight this part again that we are very close to 10K, and I would request please share my video with the person who actually need it, like they want to learn the .NET and Angular, so that they can also subscribe and we can reach our 10K goal very soon. All right. So now coming to the today's topic, which is about JWT. Okay. So today we are going to create a JWT token in .NET, and we will see how do we implement the same in the front end. Okay. So before starting the video, so let's first discuss about why do we need JWT token. All right. A JWT token helps us to authenticate the user. Okay. For example, we have a user data in the backend, and the front ends wants that data. Okay. So we are not exposing our data to everyone. Okay. So our data will be visible only to that user who are authenticated. Okay. Who has access to our web application. Only that user can use my data. So for that checking purpose, we are creating JWT token. Okay, for example, whenever we are login, right? So suppose we are login from Angular. Okay, so once we put username and password, it will go to the backend, and the backend will create a token for that particular user. Okay, and if that user is asking for that user detail record, okay, so he will have to send that token from Angular to backend, and then the backend will validate that token. Okay, is it is the same token what he has created, then only he will send that user record to the front end, which is our Angular. Okay, for example, let me just show you this image, maybe this can help. So for example, here this is the browser. So browser is our Angular and server is our .NET. Okay, so we will be sending username and password. All right, so arrow goes like this from Angular to .NET, and the .NET will create a token. Okay, so it will create a JWT token, and that token will get sent to the browser. Okay, and our Angular will store that token somewhere. Okay, because whenever he need to send an API call, he need to send that token again. So for example, I want to get a data. So on step number 4, I want to get user records. So he is sending the JWT token on the header, on the authorization header. Okay, and now the backend, our .NET, checks the JWT signature and gets the user information from JWT, and he validates. If the user is genuine, then he will send the response to the client. But if the user is not authenticated, then he will throw an error like 401. Okay, so same implementation we are going to do today. Okay, so we'll do everything step by step. All right, so our step number 1 is already done, that we have our login implemented, so our login works. Okay, so what we are need to do now is we need to create a JWT token. So this is the step number 2. So let's go in our Visual Studio and let's see. So here if you see, right, so now this is our login API authenticate. Okay, so on line number 38, so I can see here the user is authenticated, and now we are returning the login success. So now what we will do is we will not just send message. Now if the user is authenticated, now the backend should send token as well. So we should send token as well. Okay, if the login is success, we will send some token as well. Okay, and this token will be created by us. This token will be created by us. This is not we are going to send as a blank, so we will be creating this token. Okay, so now we'll see how do we create that token now. So for creating the token, first of all, let's go and create a method. Okay, so let's go here and create a method called as create JWT token. For example, let's go here and let's create a private method, private string create JWT. Okay, and this will take a parameter. Okay, so before going that, we will require some packages. So we'll require some package to be installed so that our JWT token can work. We can create a JWT token. Okay, for installing the package, we need to go in your NuGet package. So right click here, click on manage NuGet package, and just search for JWT. Okay, and this one we need to download. Okay, so this one we need to download, and please make sure that this should match your version, the project version. So for me it is 6.0.11. Okay, so you need to install this. So for me it is already installed, so I'm not installing. So once this is installed, so you need to go in your user controller, and now let's create the private method. Okay, so private string create JWT. This will accept a user object. Okay, user. All right. Now what we need to do is, so let me first also talk about what is this token made up of. So this token is made up of three things. The first one is your header, the second one is your payload, and the third one is your signature. For example, if you want to see, just go here on this website jwt.io, and you can see there are three dots, or maybe say the three text color. One is this red, then this purple or lavender, or then this is sky blue. So the red one is nothing but your header value. So this second one is your payload data, and this sky blue color is your signature. Okay, so we will be also creating these three in your code. So the token is of, like, it is combined of these three things. So let's go in your code and let's try to create those three things. All right, so first of all, for creating that, we need to have a JWT security token handler. So let's go ahead and create that. So let's say where JWT handler token. So this is coming from, we need to create an instance of JWT security token handler. Okay, all right, so this is the first step, and now what we need to do is we need to create a key. So let's create a key. So I'll say where key is equals to, we need to let's import something using system. Okay, and now we can just call it using system.encoding dot, then we have ASCII dot, then we have to get the bytes, because we are creating the bytes now. So what we need to do is we need to have our key. So here we can store our key, very secret. So this is our secret key with 5 dots. Okay, so this is our key. And now once we have the key, now we need to create the identity. So for example, as I told you, right, the payload, it is also, I also call it as identity. So let's create the identity. So for creating that, we need to use of claim identity. So let's say new claim identity. Okay, we need to import this. So press control dot. Okay, so let's import this. So we have our claims identity. Okay, and now inside this we need to send the list of claims. Okay, now what I will be doing is, so now if you see the header value in the JWT token, so here we can see name. Okay, so what our token header, our payload will be will be adding three details in that. So not three, two details. So we will be having the full name of the user and the role of the user. Okay, so our token will have two data: name, which is equivalent to your full name, and your token, sorry, and your role. Okay, let's go and let's try to add those. So for adding those, we can just say your new claim. So this is a list of claims basically. So here we can just say claim types dot role. Okay, Role we can get it from user dot role. Okay, so can you see now we are using this user object. So user dot role. And in the second line, in the second one, second again we can say new claims, new claim, and in that again claim types dot name, and we can just do the string interpolation. So we need user name dot first name space user dot last name. So that's how we are getting the name. Okay, so our payload will have two data, role and name. So in this way our identity is also ready. So we have key, we have identity. So now we need to create the credentials. So for creating that, again let's go down and just say where credentials is equals to. So how do we create that? So we need to have this security. So it is sign in. I'm not sure about the name. I think it is sign in. Sign in credential. CRET. Okay, see. IntelliSense will help us definitely. So just do control dot. Yeah, can you see it helps us. So if you are doing mistakes, just make use of IntelliSense. So we have new sign in credentials, and inside that we need to pass your key. So we can say new symmetric security key. This accepts your key which is in byte. So that's why we have created this key into the byte. Can you see we are use encoding ASCII.get bytes. So our key, which was a normal string, got converted into bytes. Okay, and now this key we need to pass it here to create our signature. Okay, and the second thing which we need to pass is the algorithm, like which algorithm we are using. So let's go here and put in security algorithm dot hmac SHA-256. So we are using this algorithm for doing the for creating the token. Okay, so we have the credential, we have the identity. So now we need to create our token descriptor. So let's go here and just type token descriptor. Okay, and inside that we need to use new security token descriptor. Okay, so I think it will be somewhere here. Security, yeah, this one. Okay, inside that we need to pass few records, like pass few things. Okay, so the first thing is we need to pass the subject, which is nothing but your identity. So second thing we need to pass is the expiry time when our token will get expire. So every token has expire, every token has a validity. Okay, for example, if you go in a cinema hall, right? So there also you require a token to enter the cinema hall. So that ticket is nothing but your token, and that token also have some validity. Right, the ticket also have some validity, like you can only use it for one day, like for one show, and that too from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. for some specific time. Okay, so in the same way this token also have some kind of expiry, so that expiry we can set by our own. So how do we set it? So let's go here and we just say here date time dot now, and then we can just say add days. We can say our token is valid for one day. Okay, and the last thing is we need the signature credential. So here we can pass it the credential what we have created. Okay, so copy paste is better so that we should not make any mistake. Okay, so now our token what we say, this descriptor is also ready. So once we have this, now we can create our token. So for that we can just say where token equals. Okay, so we will be using the JWT token handler dot create token, and we just pass this token descriptor with all these details, the subjects, expiry time, and the credential. Okay, and now we can just return it by saying return. We have this JWT token handler which was created. We can say dot write token, and inside that we can pass this guy. Can you see we need the security token? The security token we need to pass inside this, And now this guy will return our JWT token, that encrypted token, which will look something like this. Okay, so in this way we have created our token. So our token got created by this. Okay, so we created a private method, create JWT, we pass this user, and you know why we have used this user, because we need to fetch the user role and the first name and the last name of the user. Okay, now if this is done, now what we need to do is we need to go in your program.cs file and we need to configure the JWT. Okay, because this is only 50% done, so we need to add that in the authentication scheme. We need to add those schema as well, right? We need to configure the service so that we can make use of JWT token. So let's go in the program.cs file and let's do it below. So we will just say your builder dot services dot dot add authentication. I think there is something, yeah, this one, add authentication. And inside that what we can do is, let's lambda expression, and inside that what we can do, we need to define two things: schema. So what is the default authentication schema? So those two data we need to define it. Okay, so that data, how we can define, let's go here and just say x dot default schema, authentication scheme. And inside that we need to just say JWT default. We have some defaults, JWT bearer defaults, bearer defaults dot, and here we need to say authentication scheme. Okay, and the second thing we need is the default challenge scheme. So then say x dot default challenge scheme. Okay, and here we need to say again the authentication scheme. All right, so once these guys are added, and now we can just say here dot add JWT bearer. Can you see this one? And inside this we need to require all those data which we need to validate. So for example, again let's do like this, and now just say x dot requires metadata. So currently I am just saying all of them to false because I'm not doing the aggressive checking. So let's say here as false. Second thing, do you want to save the token? So I'll say yes. So again you can just say x dot save token. So I'll make it to true. Okay, and the third thing is, you can add the token validation parameter. So let's add that. So x dot token validation parameter. So this is the parameter I was talking about, like the security key should match, the validated issuer sign-in key should match. Okay, so that we can do it from here. If you want to validate the audience, if you want to validate the issuer, so all of them you have to do under this token validation parameter. Okay, so this is going to be like new token validation parameter. Okay, so this is the guy, and we don't need this. Let's remove. We need to make use of IntelliSense to import this. So using Microsoft.model. Okay, and now inside this we will get few things to add up. Let me first fix this. Yep, this as well. Yep. So inside this first we need validate your issuer. So validate the issuer sign-in key. So yes, we want to validate the sign-in key, right? So this is true. Second thing, issuer sign-in key, the key which we have added, right? So that we need to put here, so that it should match with your key what you have put. So again, this will be new symmetric security key, and inside that we need to add the same password what we have, sorry, the same key what we have added here. So let me copy paste this. So don't worry guys, I will be centralizing these things later, like so that we can make use of configuration to store this kind of data, this configuration data. Okay, so I'll do that in the last. Okay, so that's how your security key, so this should match. Okay, if this is not matching, then there is a problem. Okay, so we need to convert this key into bytes. Okay, so let's go ahead and convert into bytes. So for creating that, again let's do encoding dot utf 8 you can take dot get bytes, and in the bytes you just need to pass your key. So do control, this is the string which we have passed, that's all. And now we can also validate the issuer and audience, it's up to you. So you can just type in your validate audience. So this kind of thing you can also add. So I'm currently keeping it as false, because once I add those record later, then I'll also make this as true, just to like show you how these things also work. So validate issuer, so this will also, I can currently take it as false. Later I'll show what these two guide us. Okay, so okay, this is validate, not yeah, validate issuer. Okay, so now I can say our token is ready, because we have also added the service for the token. And now if this is added, now please make sure, if you go in your pipeline, this line is added, app.use authentication. So this has to be there. Okay, now let's save the changes, and now let's go in your user controller to see how things works now. Okay, so now this method is not used, so now we will be using this method to create the token. Okay, so now let's go here and just write user dot token equals, we are storing the token in the database as well. So let's go here and do, so user object dot token, I'm so sorry, so we need to do here as create JWT. And here I told you that we it accepts a user, so we can pass it here user directly. Okay, and now this will create the token and it will store inside the user object. And now while sending to the Angular, we can send the token by saying user dot token. Okay, and the message as well that login is success. All right, so let's just save it and let's run this. So let's wait for a few seconds. All right, so our API is running. So now let's go ahead and try to register a user. Okay, let's do it from Angular. I hope my Angular is running. Let's check localhost. Yeah, it's running. So let's sign up a user. Let me give it a name, John 2, John 30. And password again, I'll take admin at the 123 just to confirm that every time it's same. Yep, John at the gmail.com. This is the username which will require for which it will be requiring us for doing the login. Okay, so this is John 30 and this is the password. The user is added. Let's go and check here. Okay, let's go in your API and try to log in. Now I need username and password, so let me remove all this which is not required. I need username, so let me, yep. So here let me add username as John and the password was admin at the rate 123. Sorry, I did some mistake. Yep, sorry. So this was control V, John 30, and the password was, okay, why it is happening with me, I'm not sure. My keyboard is behaving weird. Okay, admin at the rate 123. Now it's better. Let's click on execute. And now if you see, right, we the login is success. We get a message login success, but this time we have a token. So let's copy this token and let's go on this website called as JWT.io. Okay, and let's go here and paste the token. Can you see we have some additional data? So we have a role, that the role is user, and we have a name that which was, I told you the full name, the first name John and the last name Doe. So that's how we have created the token. And if you just try to validate the signature, can you see the signature is also verified? Okay, so that's how you create a JWT token in .NET. Okay, so let me again repeat the steps. So first thing, once the user is authenticated, so we need to create a token. So this is the method of create token, create JWT. Okay, if you go here, so this is the method. So first we had our security handler, and then we created the key, then we created our payload, then we created our credentials. To create the credential, we require the security key, which is in bytes. If you hover, it is a bytes. Okay, and once this we have ready, then we can create our token descriptor by using the identity and the credential. Okay, and this token descriptor also requires your expiry, like at what is the expiry time for your token. Okay, and once this is done, then here we can create the token, which is our security token here, and to send them as a string to look something like this. So that's how we write it. So we JWT token handler dot write token, and that's how we created it. So this is the string which gets returned, this one. Okay, so that's how we have created the JWT token. And now let's see the Angular implementation, like how do we accept all these records in your Angular side. But before that, we require a API, right? So we need a API call so that we can check if we want to send the resource to the Angular only if the user is authenticated. So for that, let me go ahead and create a controller. Okay, we have a controller, user controller. So inside this, let's create an API for get all user. Okay, so let me create an API very quickly. So let me say here HTTP get. Okay, and this is public async task of action result. Okay, I think I'm getting in the wrong method. Let me just confirm. Yep, this is correct. Task of action result of user get all users, should be users. Okay, and now what we'll do, we can directly just return okay. So we have the API created already. So auth context dot user dot to list async, and that's it. Let's save this and let's first check in the API what we get for this. Okay, it's running. So we have the third API slash user, and let's click on try it out. So here we can see we have our two records of user, which is Winthrop and the John. Okay, so these two record we got, and what we can do is in the Angular we will create a API for this. Okay, API for this guy, and this should be only available for authenticated user. So the implementation of Angular will be done in the next video, which I will be releasing on Saturday evening. Okay, because it will take another more time. So you guys will have time. Like today, I will be releasing this video on Wednesday evening. So you will have 2 days of time to implement this JWT token. And once that is done on Saturday, I will be releasing the implementation of Angular, because I'm planning to cover the implementation of JWT as well as AuthGuard, because they both are related with each other. Because we need to create also interceptor, because we need to send, as I have told you, right? We need to send that token in the header. Okay, so for that we will be required to create interceptors. So in the next video, the topic will be, first of all, the implementation of JWT, then how do we make use of AuthGuard, and then we will be learning about the interceptors. How do we send the tokens in your header value? Okay, so that's all from this today's video, where we have learned about JWT, how do we implement them in .NET. And if you have any question related to this, or if you are facing any issue while doing the implementation of what we have learned today, so do let me know in the comment section. And you can also connect with me on Telegram. I will put all the links in the description. And also we have Telegram channel where we are quite active there. If you have any issue, any suggestion, so you can put it on Telegram as well. So we can connect and we can discuss your issue. All right. So take care and bye bye, guys.